So there's this girl. God damn it.
Hello and welcome to the first ever edition of the Jepson podcast with me, Josh Jepson.
And Brooke Jepson, aka Firelord Brooke.
What's up, Brooke?
Hey, Josh.
How are you doing today?
Fancy meeting you here in the dining room.
Fancy meeting you here in our kitchen that we share. How did we get here?
I don't know. Time and space.
Time and space. We got here by time and space. And now we're going to sit and talk for a while into your ear holes. And I hope that you listen because we got a lot to talk about. Not everything today, because that would take a long time, but we'll talk about a couple of things. Coming up on this podcast, I want to talk about this podcast and where we're going to go with it and what we want to do with it. But I also want to talk about us a little bit, you and me.
Yeah.
I want you guys to get to know us a little bit. I think that'll make the podcast better in the future. You know, episode 2 will be much more enjoyable if you guys know us.
Yeah, I definitely feel like podcasts are a little bit more personable.
They are.
Because you're just sitting down and talking.
Yeah.
And discussing things, you know? And not gonna lie, I wasn't too sure about doing a podcast because I don't know. It's like the whole thing of the podcast is like you're focusing solely on your voice. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I don't really like my voice too much. And I don't know why you guys want to hear my voice, but
I like your voice.
Oh, thanks.
And once upon a time, I didn't like my voice, but I do like it now. And I got there by just listening to it an awful lot.
Yeah.
I've kind of been listening to my voice for many years now.
Yeah, especially like doing like streaming full time and stuff.
Especially streaming.
And recording and doing stuff like that. You kind of have to listen to your voice as much as you don't want to.
Yeah, as much as you don't want to listen to your voice, you have to sometimes just to kind of practice, if anything. But also because I spent so many years just editing YouTube videos and such, you go through a phase of like, oh God, my voice. And then you get to a point where like, oh man, my voice is... hello. Sorry, the upstairs neighbors just distracted the hell out of me. Where was I? My voice. I enjoyed listening to my voice eventually, and then I got to a point where I listened to it so much that I got sick of it again. So it's kind of, you go back and forth.
And now we're doing a podcast.
So I get to hate my voice all over again.
Ah, yeah.
So tell me, Brooke, how you and I met. Because I think that the audience would enjoy at least part of that story.
Well, if you guys don't know, this was a few years before I even met Joshua. I was friends with Emil, aka Chugga Conroy.
Yeah.
I was friends with him before I met Joshua. So we met through a mutual friend. And we just hit it off really well.
We did, and it was weird because I had been just talking to my friend Hal before I met you. This was before I even knew you, and it was, I'm not even kidding you, a week before I was talking to my buddy Hal, and I was like, man, I don't think I'm ever going to meet anybody. I literally said that to him. I was like, I don't think I'm going to meet anybody. He said, nah, man, just keep going. Just keep trying. There's somebody out there for you. And then I met Brooke a week later. And I think it was just kind of like a moment of clarity, like, oh yeah, Hal was right. And then it was kind of like, for me, after Emil mentioned, because you and him had been talking for a while there, and he brought it up to me because you did what? What did you do to get my attention, Brooke?
Gonna expose me now?
I'm gonna expose your method.
Well, there wasn't a method. I just thought you were cute, and I mentioned it to him because he was my friend, and I was like, "Hey, your friend's kind of cute." And he's like, "Sorry, I can't give out personal information, stuff like that." I was like, "Dude, that's like totally okay. I wasn't asking for that or anything. I was just like, oh, he's kind of cute." And I think Emil kind of took it upon himself to like.
Emil the matchmaker. I'll tell you right now, so me and him had a conversation sometime after that moment where you mentioned that to him, because I sat down to talk to him for like, I want to say like an hour or so. And in that conversation, we talked about everything but you. And then at the end of the conversation, before we were about to hang up the Skype call, you remember Skype? Before we hung up the call, I said to him, or he said to me rather, he said, so there's this girl.
God damn it, Emil.
And of course, that's such an Emil thing to say. That's an Emil way of sneaking in, like, hey, maybe you want to meet this girl, maybe not, I don't know, let's find out. And so he's like, so there's this girl. And I leaned into the microphone and I said, tell me more. So anyway, the rest is history.
And it kind of just went off from there.
Yeah.
He added me on Skype and I sassed him. And
Oh God, the first interaction, Brooke. Do you remember the first interaction?
It was something
Roughly.
about a sandwich.
So basically, I made a joke about going to the kitchen to get some food, and instead of it being like, get in the kitchen, making that joke, it was Brooke making that joke to me. I was like, I gotta go get some food, and her response was, yeah, you get in the kitchen, get me a sandwich while you're there.
Yeah, while you're at it, make me a sandwich.
The first interaction, dude. This is text, not voice. Text.
Yeah, this is through text, this is like our first conversation with each other.
Somewhere that conversation exists deep within your laptop. Your old one.
Still have that laptop.
If we can somehow access that Skype log somehow, we could get like the actual like screenshots of our first conversation.
If we can pull it up, if we are able to recover it, we'll pull up the conversations. It was, I haven't changed. I'm still incredibly sassy.
In fact, you're more sassy now.
Yes. I would say I'm more confident.
You know what? I know when you became more sassy.
When was that?
When you became the Fire Lord.
Ah, yes. That does help to have a glorious title like the Fire Lord.
It does. When you walk into the room and you say, hey, I'm Brooke, you know, people are like, yeah, Brooke. But if you walk into the room and you say, I'm the Fire Lord, everybody bows. That's weird. But then, Brooke, you say that you walk into the room and you're like, I'm Fire Lord Brooke. Everybody's like, yes, and they bow.
Yes. Yeah, so the rest is kind of history after that point. Once we added each other, because 3 months of knowing each other, I decided to go visit him for the first time. Mm-hmm. And this was my first time ever seeing someone over the internet.
Yeah.
Which was a scary time for my family because I just graduated high school not too long after.
Yeah, I remember this.
So I was still very young. Mm-hmm. At the time, I was like, I'm an adult. I could do what I want.
I'm an adult.
So my family thought I was going to go see a murderer. But
I have the opposite. I have the antithesis of that story.
Do you?
Yeah, but finish your story.
But yeah, so my family, there was a huge like fight with my family with like my mom and my uncle, because my uncle didn't want me to go and my mom was like, she's an adult, she can do it. So it was a whole thing. And when I went to go visit Joshua, it was an amazing experience. We ended up dating.
It was amazing. It was so good.
Yeah, it was such a good time. That was in 2012, and you know, 8 years later we're still together. We've been married for almost 5 years, and yeah, so the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, y'all. The rest is history. And that now, so we met and now we do a podcast. That everything in between is, we'll get there. I did want to say that we have been enjoying lately doing a lot more live stuff and streams and talking a lot more, because we've been doing a lot more streams regularly these days. Like we're just getting back into consistency and feeling everything out. So my question to you, Brooke, is what games have you been playing recently? What's the favorite game you've been playing right now?
It's definitely Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. You were either gonna say that or Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem 3 House. Well, it's honestly Fire Emblem 3 Houses, it's Dead by Daylight, it's Final Fantasy 14. I'm getting back into that as well. Especially with the patch quests that are out now.
Yes.
But definitely I would say my main game I've been playing is Dead by Daylight. They have crossplay now today.
Do they?
Yeah, so it's really cool.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mentioned actually, you know what? People in the Discord mentioned that today. That somebody brought it up that they can play on PS4.
And I was just showing Joshua last night. I was playing Killer, and I'm doing pretty good.
Oh, God, yeah.
I
Michael Myers.
Yeah, Michael Myers, of course. And he's a lot of fun to play. I'm mostly a Survivor main, but I've been really enjoying that game. If you guys don't know, here's a little information about me you might not know. I really, really love scary games. I love horror. I love everything about that. And I just really like Dead by Daylight because that's the only like quotation mark scary game I can handle. I'm not, it's a little bit ironic because as much as I love the genre, I can't play it myself. I really love watching other people play scary games, but I can't play it because it's a different experience.
I like playing scary games. And I also like watching scary movies, but not as much as I like playing scary games. You like scary movies too, and that's one of the things that you and I have in common. And it's funny because you brought up Dead by Daylight, and it made me think of the 2 movies we watched last night. And we're going to watch another horror movie tonight. So if that gives you any indication of how much Brooke likes scary stuff and scary movies and scary games. And, you know, like I said, it's a good experience. I think the best experience, Brooke, what do you think? VR horror games.
Heck no.
What do you think, Brooke?
Like,
Should we get a VR headset and play some horror games?
I mean, I'll watch you. I can't do it. Like, I'm a big baby. I can't. As much as I love it, I can't play it. It's a completely different immersion.
The problem is that you really can't watch me do it. You'd have to do it yourself. You'd have to enter the virtual reality yourself.
Yeah,
experience.
No, I'm good. Just like
put on the headset?
Straight up, no, I'm good. I won't even attempt it. I would probably end up breaking the VR headset because I'd be so scared.
I'm not gonna put it on. Oh God, yeah, no, because imagine getting scared in the headset and you just rip it off.
Yeah,
and
literally.
Break it and throw it across that line.
I would just yeet myself.
Talk about an Oculus Quest. It's gonna take an Oculus Quest right through the window.
And also, I kind of want to wait until like the VR is a little bit better. I don't know.
It's getting there.
It's definitely going in the right direction, but I kind of want to wait until it's cheaper as well.
Yeah.
What games have you been playing then?
Great question, actually. I've been thinking about Pikmin a lot, which is not a game that I've been playing, but that's the game that's been on my mind so much lately, so I think I might stream Pikmin 1
Well, especially
soon.
with the announcement of Pikmin 3.
I'm trying to remember what games I've been playing lately.
Is it Pikmin 3?
Pikmin 3, yeah. Pikmin 3 Deluxe came out, came out. It's coming out in October. And that's why I keep thinking about it, because I can't even remember what games I'm playing because I'm so excited about Pikmin 3. And it's because I have not played that one, despite owning it. I own the Wii U version. So, on YouTube, talk about Pikmin 3 a lot because he's so into it. And I just have a bunch of friends that are super into Pikmin, and it's surprising to me that I've never played 2 or 3. So you've never played Pikmin, right?
No, I haven't played Pikmin. I don't know if it's a game that I'm really into, to be honest.
Why do you think that?
I don't know, just like the elements of the game and stuff like that doesn't really appeal to me. And the gameplay doesn't really all that much. But I very much
cutesy.
like respect the Pikmin community and stuff like that. They're passionate and excited about it, so I'm excited for them.
Yeah.
Just not my kind of game, but
Yeah,
you know,
I get that.
I can't dismiss a game unless I've tried it.
Right.
So.
That's me in most JRPGs. Like, I keep trying JRPGs and I'm just like, I can't do this one. I can't do this one. But then I get to Pokemon and I'm like, oh, Pokemon's cool because I can collect them.
What do you? I wouldn't consider Pokemon to be a JRPG.
But it is though. What does JRPG stand for?
Japanese role-playing game.
Yeah. What is Pokemon? It's a role-playing game from Japan.
It's sorta a role-playing game, sorta.
Mainly, it's collecting Pokemon though. That's why I like it because I like to collect them and name them dumb things. It's one of my favorite things. That and like, oh man. Oh well. Okay. So you play a lot of JRPGs like Final Fantasy, and you've played like because you played Final Fantasy 15. Was that your first Final Fantasy game?
Unfortunately, yes.
Why? Unfortunately.
All right, this is gonna be a whole spiel. I've said it.
Rant away. I'll drink some water. Rant away.
So I've said this a lot on my streams, but I haven't played much of the Final Fantasy games before, which is really weird because I really love JRPGs like the Tales of series, Persona, etc. And I was told up and down I would love Final Fantasy, and at the time is when they announced 15, and I was very ecstatic to get into the series for the first time. When I played it, it was good. It was overall a good experience. My biggest gripe with it is story, because fans of the Final Fantasy series say up and down how amazing the storytelling is, character development, stuff like that. And I really felt like 15 really lacked that. because essentially it was just like bros on a road trip kind of thing, you know?
Well, okay. Well, what if you like bros on a road trip then?
There's nothing wrong with it. I like the characters. I just wish.
Oh my God. Is that why you don't like it? I'm sorry. I just interrupted you. Here. What is this? Go for it. Characters. Sorry.
What I was saying before is, yeah, it definitely lacked story. And in order to understand the story, it is recommended to watch the anime. There's a movie. And also, they throw DLC in your face to understand the full picture. And they ended up canceling one of them.
One of the DLCs?
Yeah, for Luna, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it just felt very lackluster. They definitely spent too much time trying to develop this game because they've tried to make this game for a very long time. And they ended up scrapping it and reworking it and everything else. So I felt like it was a very unfinished game.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I do enjoy the characters and like the world that it's in. I just wish it spent more time with, character development and story and stuff like that.
Everything I've seen from Final Fantasy 15 has been cool. I've seen like a lot of like giant monsters and stuff. I haven't played the game. Like I've only seen what you've played, and it's
really cool.
It looks awesome.
I really did enjoy it. But those are my gripes with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, maybe because we have we got this Final Fantasy 7 remake. We have that now, but we haven't played it yet. So maybe that'll be a better experience.
No, absolutely. People.
I mean, obviously it will be, but
7 is probably one of the fan favorites.
Have you seen the anime?
I have not.
Neither have I. We should watch it.
Definitely.
After we play the game or something. So I did think of something. So you were talking about broken games that you like only a little bit. So one of the games I have been playing recently is Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts again. Last week I did a stream of it and I built, well, it wasn't last week, but a few weeks ago I built a pod racer from Star Wars Episode 1. And I actually made it like hover and stuff in the game. And it's really like, it's kind of janky how you could get to that point in that game, but there's so much like so many ways that you can use these building blocks to throw together anything in Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, and that to me is the core of the game, and I really wish they had focused more on that in development of it, honestly, because it wouldn't have been such a broken game if they just said, like, here, we got this really cool mechanic of building the vehicles. Why don't we turn that into something better than just like, it was kind of like a half and half. It was like one product that they didn't finish, and then they added on this vehicle thing. So
imagine a new Banjo game, though.
Oh God, Brooke, I've been imagining a new Banjo game since I finished Banjo-Tooie, and the text went across the screen where Grunty said, "I'll see you in Banjo 3." Guess what? That never fucking happened.
How many years has it been now?
Rare. But you know what? Rareware, actually, that company that made Banjo, they were bought by Microsoft a bunch of years ago, as many people know. But they've gotten better since Sea of Thieves came out, which is their latest game. They just announced a brand new game that reminds me of Breath of the Wild.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it's called Everwild.
Okay. I don't think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's called Everwild, and it looks like it's supposed to be like some sort of open world nature experience, adventure. So I don't really know exactly what it is. It's kind of like, and all the animals are like very like mythical creatures and stuff, and like mythical animals that are made up by Rare. Like it's in world, in lore. So it's not even like there's a deer, but there's something that looks like a deer. And it just looks like a neat concept. I don't know anything about it because they haven't shown any gameplay. It's just been, it's been gameplay, you know what I mean? Like a trailer, but it looks awesome. Reminds me of Breath of the Wild in a lot of ways, which is another great game.
Breath of the Wild 2 is coming up next year, so potentially. God. I don't know. It might get pushed again.
You think it will get pushed?
Oh, absolutely.
I think it'll get pushed to 2021, but I don't think that would be a problem. I think that people will be fine with that.
Oh, absolutely. For me, in my opinions of like game developers pushing their game to a later point is a good thing because they want to spend more time on it and more love and attention. So I don't understand. Like, I can understand people being disappointed, but like I don't understand the backlash behind that. Because to me, it's like they're just spending more time to make it a better game. You know?
Yeah. Oh, no, I agree. And even Nintendo says that too, right? Like every time they cancel or delay a game, they just say, hey, look, this is what it is. Sorry. but they say it in a nice way. Mm-hmm. And they did the same thing with Metroid Prime 4, which everybody's been waiting for information on. I actually saw a tweet from somebody today that was like, you know, the meme, it's like, I am a man or a woman searching for a woman or a man. And then they have a third option. Have you ever seen that meme?
No, I don't think so.
I'll show it to you later. And it said, I am a man. And it was checked, man. Looking for man, woman, Metroid Prime 4 information.
See,
and I'm like, yes, my people.
I just love those memes. Like, you know, tasteful memes and stuff like that. It's all like lighthearted. You know, you're allowed to be disappointed, but like, don't like, you know, have backlash behind it.
Yeah, don't have backlash behind your unfortunate, like, I don't know, whatever meme.
And also, like, we have so many games that are out. Like, there's time to pick up a game that you've been wanting to while you wait for the one you're excited for, because gamers, I fucking know you, including myself. I am guilty of this as well, where we have a long list of games that we have not played, but we've been wanting to. So I'd like to say this would be a perfect opportunity to play those games while you wait for the ones you're excited for coming up. Yeah,
actually, that is a great observation, and it's one that I have not followed for most of my life. I have a lot of games I have not played, and some of them are unopened. And what would be the next game that you wanted to play?
The next game?
What do you think?
Honestly,
new one that you've never played before.
A new one? Because I was gonna say Okami.
No, any game that you've never played before.
I was going to say Okami. I have played it before, but I don't remember anything from it.
Oh, so that's like...
So it feels like it's going to be like a new experience for me.
That's awesome.
I absolutely, from what I remember, loved Okami.
Okami's
so
one of my favorites.
Now that it's on the Switch, I would like to play it again.
Absolutely. Do it. I own that game 3 times. I own it on the Switch, and I own it on the PC? No, I don't own it on the PC, but I almost bought it. And then I own it on the PS2, actually. But that is an unopened copy, because I played it on a friend's PS2, and then I liked the game so much I went and bought it. But since I had already played it on the friend's PS2, I never opened it, and I didn't open it again. I didn't open it until the Switch version came out, and opening it was downloading it on the Switch is dead. So that's where I'm at with Okami. It's one of the most. I hope that they do another one.
Do you think they'll make a Okami too?
I heard on Twitter. I saw on Twitter actually that somebody said that the original creator of Okami is interested in potentially doing more, another one.
That'd be great.
That would be really cool if they did. There already is another one. It's called Okamiden on the DS, which is, I've been told, not as good as Okami.
We actually have that.
We do.
It's unopened.
Yeah, we actually have 2 copies. One unopened copy, which is mine, and one open copy, which is yours. And then, you know, we got married, and now we have 2 copies.
We do. We have being married where we kind of like fuse our stuff together. We have a lot of like duplicate games.
There was a moment when we got rid of some duplicates because it was kind of silly to have duplicates of a lot of things. So we got rid of like some duplicate, like older consoles. Like we didn't need 2 Xbox 360s. Like I barely use my Xbox 360 now. But I do use it sometimes, so I had to keep one around. But you were like, I don't use this. It's sitting and collecting dust. Let's go trade it into GameStop or wherever.
Because at the time I was working at GameStop. So
yeah, so you get like a... Did you get any bonus for trading in? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I think it might have been like 10% or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes
sense. Could have been. But I know I definitely had an employee discount for games and stuff like that.
We've used it a couple times, yeah.
But I don't recall if you get a bonus for trading in or not.
Yeah. Yeah, how was working at GameStop anyway? A lot of people have horror stories at working at GameStop.
To be honest, when I worked at GameStop, I loved my experience there. It was in a good location. I had an amazing team and manager. It was great. Everything about it was fantastic. I mean, it's retail, so it's mostly the customers I had problems with. But but I'd like to say my overall experience with GameStop was really good. But I will say the company does not care for their employees.
No.
But during my time there, I really enjoyed it.
When you form a company, you have to set up values and rules ahead of time. And if those values and rules don't quite line up eventually, because it gets so big or out of hand, if your company grows too quickly or too much, then it needs to be scaled back a lot. And I think that's the problem GameStop has had. They got too big too quickly, and then we're like, oh, what do we do now? And then they did something, and then people aren't really all that happy about some of the stuff some of the decisions they make. I've seen a lot of YouTube. It was a YouTube trend at one point in history where people would post their GameStop horror stories. I've seen a few.
Oh, I've seen plenty,
Yeah.
and it just, I cannot, like, I can believe it though is the thing.
Yeah.
I was one of the fortunate ones that did not have to go through those
That's
awful
good.
experiences, and I definitely sympathize for my fellow game and pals that went through such horrific experiences.
Did you make you made a lot of friends at the GameStop there, didn't you?
Oh, I'm still friends with all of them.
I know, right?
They're great.
That's one of the things that I love. The takeaway from that GameStop experience for you was like you gained a bunch of cool friends.
I absolutely did.
And I've hung out with some of them, and they're super cool. Like we went to see a movie one time with one of them, and well, a couple of them actually. And we had some people over for a party one time that was really fun. And your friends are super
They're
cool.
fantastic, and like a lot of them still go to my streams and stuff like that. So like to them, it's really cool for them to see their like GameStop pal become a Twitch streamer.
I know, right?
Which
That's
is
so cool.
It's really cool because at the time, you guys probably don't know this. During the time, I was getting trained into an assistant management position, and at the time, we made the decision that Joshua wanted me to try out Twitch for the first time. And he said, you know what, Brooke, you should quit your job. You're a really funny and entertaining person. And I think the community would love you. And I really think you should pursue becoming a Twitch streamer. And so I made the decision to quit my job at GameStop and focus on becoming a Twitch streamer. And
you killed it.
2 to 3 years later, I am doing it full time. I'm really happy. And I like to say we're doing really well.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it because the Twitch streams have been just super cool lately, mainly because the community around them has been absolutely amazing. Like,
what makes our job feel so fulfilling is the community.
Yeah, exactly. And the friends that I've made through this community.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So like the TRG guys, for example, one of them is Emil, the literal person why we are here now doing this podcast, because otherwise we wouldn't have met and got married and then decided to make a podcast years later. Because I wouldn't have met you without Emil, right? Like there's that connection there. And so, because back then I had all these wonderful people in my life that kind of guided me silently through things. Emil was one of them. John was one of them. Tim was definitely one of them. Oh my God. And DrThreeAM is one of my biggest inspirations of all time. Like he's the reason why I was able to start YouTube. He's not the reason why I decided to start watching YouTube, or not the only reason, I should say, but he was one that helped early on. So he was very encouraging to me when other people in my life were not encouraging. And I needed somebody who would be. And, so it's good to have a little encouragement here and a little push once in a while.
Oh, absolutely. I like to say we have a really great community, friends, family.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate where we are at this moment.
Yeah.
And
I'm super happy, and I love that we've been able to come this far and make this podcast and do all this fun stuff. The name of the podcast, by the way, is called the Jepson Podcast. It's real original.
Super
original.
But it makes sense because, we're both Jepson and this is our podcast and this is what it's about, you know?
I think that sometime we could have guests on as well.
Absolutely.
A third person, one more person, or even like if I wanted to talk to somebody one-on-one or you wanted to talk to somebody one-on-one, this podcast is for that. So I think you're going to see a lot of really great viewpoints here on this podcast and get like a really good back and forth between me and Brooke, and I think we have so much to talk about that we don't get to talk about regularly because it's just, for some reason, sitting down in front of a microphone and saying, "Hey, let's talk. Let's make talk."
Well, this definitely feels like a different experience because, with streaming, you're commentating as well as entertaining chat and looking at a game.
Yeah.
With a podcast, it's literally you, me sitting down at a table and just having a conversation with each other.
Yeah.
it definitely feels different for sure.
It's a different feel, and that's good. It's good to have a different feel than the live stuff, because I think that the live stuff. Speaking of the live streams, actually, I wanted to mention this real fast. So I did do a live version of this podcast to test out this setup so that we were ready for this podcast, and it was a purely an hour-long test. An hour-long test that you can now watch on Patreon. I'm going to upload it on Patreon after this podcast, and you should be able to see it right now if you support us on Patreon. So check that out if you're interested in that. If not, that's cool too. Sharing the podcast, sharing this first episode with your friends and your family if you enjoyed
Spread the love, spread the word.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel, the whole 9 yards. And this is I think is going to be a really, really, really wonderful time.
Absolutely. I very much look forward to this journey with you.
All right. Well, that's that. There won't be much of an end, I don't think. I think that'll just be that.
Sounds good.
Cool.
We'll
Thanks
catch you
for
guys
watching,
next time.